Holy crap! So, new Pokémon Snap was just announced, and Andre, I know you're just as excited as I am. So are you ready to go frame by frame through this trailer and see how many Pokémon there are, what new features we can find, and everything that's hiding in this trailer?
I was born ready for this, John. I've been waiting for this moment for so long. Let's get to it.
Alright, and lazy old Derek is streaming Pokemon right now, and he's the Pokemon expert, so bear with us if we can't pronounce any names correctly. We'll do our best.
We're trying here.
Yeah, we're trying. Alright, so we start off with Bouffalont. There's a bunch of them, there's a whole herd of them flying around. And right down here it says game footage is not final, but it's in development, so this is probably representative of pretty much what we'll see.
Yeah, they always say that.
They always say that. But here we also have Vivillon, I believe it's pronounced. And what's interesting about this Pokemon right here is it actually comes in different variants. I believe there's 16 different colors, and it's partially based on your region. So I wonder if different stages are going to have different colors, or it depends what country you're playing Pokemon Snap in to change their color.
That'd be cool. That'd be neat. I mean, it does seem like they're kind of extending the realism of this game, so that's very possible.
Mm-hmm. And you know, if there are 16 different colors, I wonder if that is representative of how many stages are in this game. Like, what if every stage has a different color Vivillon?
That's a clever way of doing it. Yeah.
I mean, 16's a lot though, but we'll see.
Yeah, there was like, what, 7 in the original, I think, so...
So let's keep going past that scene. So they're all very natural. You can see they're all just kind of eating grass back over there. Just going through their lives. And we have another Pokemon here. We have Swanna. And there's actually 4 of them. There's one here, one here, one here, and then one just hiding down here just in the corner. And you can see just off screen at the bottom there is a Tailo, which is a bird Pokemon. And then also 2 Bidoof, one in the water just over here, and one just on the side.
Do you want to magnify? Do you want to zoom in on those, John?
Yeah, let's just zoom in a little bit. So I'll just point those out. And actually there's another Pokemon I just spotted.
Magikarp. Yep.
Magikarp right over there.
That's right. Gotta love that guy. Also, we can see a bridge right behind the Bidoofs, which I assume is part of the track or trail you'll be following.
Yeah, you know what's interesting is it kind of looks like the trail goes off in different directions. So the mud path goes a little bit over on the left over here, as well as going over to the bridge.
Oh, you got some spoilers for later, John.
Yeah.
Also, just look at the setting here. Look at the mountain range and just how beautiful everything looks. Like, we're seeing, like, it's the whole thing is suggesting a scope grander than what we saw before, as you're indicating with the possibility of branching paths, which is really exciting. And I think, if I remember correctly, the original game did have branching paths too, but those were very circumstantial, whereas this possibly seems like it's more a native part in the environment.
Yeah, there really weren't very many.
No.
A lot of the time, it was just to like get a different Pokemon to sort of react differently. Like I remember you push a Squirtle up a giant ramp once to sort of break way to another level. So a lot of the time it was progression focused, whereas this may just be giving you different routes to play around in.
Yeah, it was more like secret exits, I believe, in the original, right?
And these trees look a lot better than the trees in Pokemon Sword
They
and
do.
Shield.
The key takeaway from this.
Let's zoom in on those trees a sec.
Look at that beauty.
That.
Yeah, look
Beautiful.
at it. I want a full Pokemon game that looks like this.
I know, this is so good.
It is.
Alright, so not a whole lot there, but then we get a giant Wailord.
Yes!
I think this really shows off the scale of this game. Every Pokemon is fully scaled, which is something that Sword and Shield doesn't do.
Right. No, this is like the most realistic version of Pokemon I think we'll ever see. I mean, in terms of the series in general, the Snap line really is all about presenting these Pokemon as they appear in their native environments.
Right. And then we also have Pelipper over here. There's a couple of them flying in the sky. And what I like as well is the ocean is really clear. So I guess you'll be like taking pictures of Pokemon while they're in the water. And we actually see an example of that a bit later on, but it's super cool that we kind of have this underwater world, which we don't really see in Pokemon very often.
It makes you wonder, could there be underwater exploration in this game? That vehicle you're in is pretty versatile in the original game, so I wouldn't be surprised if there are actual underwater segments, perhaps, where it'll take on the form of a submarine.
Right, yeah, I think that it had like a hovercraft sort of mechanic.
It did, yeah, it could fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering like how are you traveling through this area? Because it looks super open. If you look at everything here, it's not like a clear path. It's like we're actually in the middle of the ocean right now.
Right.
Yeah, and I think these are Mantine over here, if I just zoom in a sec. So they're kind of blurry, but you can just sort of make out these sort of manta ray looking Pokemon. so I'm pretty sure those are Mantine. And we get a better look at them a bit later on as well.
Have you touched on the birds flying around here?
Yeah, so those are Pelipers.
Okay, got it, right.
Cool. So if we go a bit on, we get something that really does invoke the original Pokemon Snap. So if you remember, very early on in the first beach level, there's a Pikachu that you sort of lure on to a surfboard. And this scene here just reminds me so much of that.
Oh, this is a clear callback, absolutely, to that original first... That's how the game began.
Yeah. Look at this lollipop over here, too, just stuck in the sand.
Oh, is that a lollipop? Oh, it's upside down. Oh, it's a popsicle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I like it. Can you throw popsicles at Pokemon now? I'm down.
Maybe.
Eat it.
But there's actually there's one thing that we can't work out, so let's just point out the Pokemon first. So we have an Executor over here, just sort of sleeping. We also have Crabrawler. And I actually can't make out what that one is right there. There's one just floating around. But one that has us stumped is there's this flat Pokemon. And if we just play the footage a sec,
you can use a spacebar, John, to play automatically.
Yeah, you'll see. It flapped. What are you?
What is it? It's such a flat-looking Pokemon. Unfortunately, I'm not a Pokemon expert, so I have no idea what that could be. Yeah, I'm sure someone in the chat might have some idea. So we apologize for not knowing every Pokemon's name. But yeah, that's an interesting one. So
we've also got Wingull just over here. We saw its evolution Propeller earlier, so it's not too surprising to see this. But Pokemon Snap did have a bunch of Pokemon that were evolutions and didn't have their pre-evolutions in there. So it just kind of shows you how many Pokemon are in this sequel.
Right, good point.
And then this is interesting as well, because this scene right here looks different to the last one, but it also has basically all the Pokemon from the previous scene. So we've got Pikachu, we've got Crabrawler, we've got Executor, and they were all back over here. But it looks super different.
It does, yeah, I mean, I think the time of day has actually changed.
I think you're right, this definitely looks a bit more sunsetty, whereas this is clearly just like the start of the day.
Right, and if you keep an eye, and we'll actually have more on that very soon, so, but beyond that too, I noticed we're getting a look at kind of like our first real look at the interface here, or a bit of the interface, and we can see the targeting, like the targeting box up here showing like kind of the frame of the picture, but we can also see that the general cursor, like I guess where you can probably target things to throw apples at, isn't centered to the screen. So it does give you like some freedom to move around, it seems, without the screen like following constantly, if that makes sense.
Because in the original, it would snap back to the center whenever you move it around.
Exactly.
So this is a bit more modern. We also see that the ability to throw apples at Pokemon has returned, and that was something I think you had to unlock in the original. I'm pretty sure you started off with just the camera, and then as it goes on, you get apples, you get the pass balls. But I don't think these were there right at the start.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you have a similar progression path in this game, where you unlock more abilities that then give you a reason to revisit levels you've already come to. Also, in the interface, we can now see Pokemon are highlighted by a box, kind of like how facial recognition works on some cameras, pointing out where all the people are. So that's just kind of a nice touch that wasn't in the original game.
And I wonder if you might be able to focus on Pokemon and sort of defocus the background, just make them the clear focus of the shot. That'd be interesting.
That would be cool.
Alright, let's keep going then.
Have you touched on the crab in the background yet?
Yes, that's Crabrawler.
Okay.
We got him a bit earlier.
Great.
This is something we touched on in the discussion, but Pikachu has like a unique animation for eating the apple. You'll see he has two different hands and he's just sort of munching on it. Whereas later on, we see Blastoise with a completely different animation. So that's really cool.
I love that. Yeah, the level of interaction here is going to be, I think, well beyond what the original was. Yeah, where tons of Pokemon are going to have even more unique animations, it seems, so I'm excited to see what all we can suss out from them.
And like Pikachu celebrates when he finishes the apple.
So cute.
Like getting all these little minute details in the shots can be
adorable.
really fun.
Yeah.
If we get the perfect picture. So this one, there aren't that many Pokemon, though I think that might be a Caterpie right there.
That's definitely a Caterpie.
Yeah. So I think we missed that earlier, but that's a cool little detail to have there. But what's even cooler is this is nighttime. So there may very well be a time of day system. Actually, the more I look at it, I actually see another Pokemon, which also might be another Caterpie. Right.
That is straight up hanging on the tree there. Good catch. So this seems to be I'm reminded a little bit of the Metapod forest in the jungle level of the original Pokemon Snap. So that's cute, and also we can see a bunch of tall grass here, which almost certainly indicates there'll be Pokemon hiding in it, as they're known to do. Even in Pokemon Snap, I remember the Scyther in the first level being quite hard to find, because you couldn't even see him until you lured him out.
And right over here as well, we have what I think might be Foongoose. Like, we have these little mushrooms over here, and there's a Pokemon with basically is a mushroom with a big Pokeball on its head. And it looks like it might just be facing away from us. It could just be a normal mushroom, but I'm pretty sure that's Foongoose.
Right. Could be. There's another one behind it too.
Yeah, let's head back a sec. So, yeah, there's another one right over here, and there's one there as well. There could very well be more Pokemon blending into this environment. It's very dark.
It is. Well, speaking of dark, this next scene kind of touches on what you were saying earlier. This, I mean, it could be a different region, but this looks to me like the first area that we were just looking at, because those rocks in the water look identical to the structures you saw in the previous trailer, or if not identical, the same basic rock type. So I am really thinking now, between the 3 possible different times of day we've seen, you'll be revisiting these levels at different times of day, which is cool for multiple reasons. 1, that didn't exist in the original. 2, that kind of harkens back to Pokemon Gold and Silver, where day/night was a thing, and where the effective Pokemon would appear. And that seems to be the case here too, because we're seeing Pokemon that, again, this could be a different part, of the beach, but still we're seeing a different selection of Pokemon here than we did the first time.
Absolutely. Like, we're seeing Zangoose right here, the white and red Pokemon. And then we also have these, the Vivillon again, that change color. And this is a completely different color as the one we saw earlier. So these are sort of bluish, and the one we saw at the beginning was red. So maybe that changes on the time of day as well. Right.
That could be.
But, yeah. We also got these little fish Pokemon over here, and I think they're from Gen 7, but the name escapes me.
What's on the the little island to the east? Do you see those 2 little things there? Do we have any idea what they are?
Good question. So you mean on
the far right side of the screen.
Oh, I see. Right over here.
There was something else too that we another one of those things. It looks like some kind of bird or beaked Pokemon, maybe. If it's even, or if it's not a rock.
Yeah, I mean, the original Pokemon Snap had those structures you have to take pictures of that would sort of form what Pokemon look like. So there was one that kind of looks like Mew. There's one that looks like I forget the other examples, but it could be something like that, where you have to sort of like try and make something of a landscape to get more data on later levels.
Hey, that's possible.
It might not be a Pokemon at all.
It did look like it was symmetrical, so that would make sense that we're one of those structures, if not just something random.
Alright, let's just keep going then. So right here we have, this is, I believe, the 3rd evolution of the Gen 7 water starter. So this is Primarina, I believe it's pronounced. And we've got Drifloon over here. And right in the back, you can see Lapras. Jim.
Yes, I love Lapras because especially in this scene, because this is a similar context to how they appeared in the first game, where you saw them mostly as a distant sea creature. There were ways to get a closer view of them, but I do love how they've been presented as in the 2 games now they've been in the Snap series, as this kind of like elusive sea creature they see more off in the distance. So almost like a little bit Loch Ness Monster-like.
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is actually there's 2 Lapras. There's a head right over here.
Oh, there we go.
You can just about see. But in Pokemon Snap, the first one, Lapras's position would change randomly. So sometimes it would be really close, and other times it would be super far away. So you've got to wonder if that's going to be the same case here as well.
Now, John, go ahead. Keep going.
I think this Pokemon here might be Goomy, or it might be one of that evolution line. It's a little blurry, but it's like a little purple dragon Pokemon.
Yeah. And is that the same thing up to the right as well? There's another purple thing up there.
I'm pretty sure these are all the same, yeah.
So, John, you've neglected to mention the most amazing part about this picture, and that is the fact this is just beautiful looking. Look at this! This is so darn good! Once again, we're seeing water that's at least reflective of the light. It's transparent, so we can see what's happening underneath. This is just beautiful. I'm getting almost like wave race vibes from the water, which is impressive. And God, look at the sun reflecting off of it. Oh, this looks great. So this again suggests that your vehicle will at least be able to go through the water as it could in the original game, which isn't anything new. It had like these little pontoons that would inflate, letting you to go into the water. So.
Yeah, it is absolutely stunning, and the way that the light, it's like it's sunset right now, and the way it bounces off the water is just absolutely stunning.
It is. So we don't know if this is the same level as before or not, the same beach level. It might be entirely unique, but once again, this does seem to be yet another different time of day. So...
All right. So again, this looks like the same level as last time, but now it's super bright out. So we've got another few Pokemon again.
What if that's a thing, John? What if we've just been seeing the same level the entire time?
That'd be amazing. But it's just one like open world. So we actually saw this one earlier. I believe that this is Swanna again. So we saw 4 of them earlier. We got Sharpedo just bouncing out.
Isn't that a Netflix movie?
I'm pretty sure it might be. We got Wingull again. We saw him earlier as well. And then I thought these were Tentacle at first, but Derek had them down as, I think it was a Phenion. So it's something entirely different. But they kind of look like Tentacle, just the way they're in the ocean.
John.
But what's interesting about them though is they're in the water. Like, these are entirely submerged.
Oh, and is that unusual for them, or?
It's not unusual, but we haven't seen a Pokemon that's completely submerged in the water yet.
Good point.
Every single one's been popping out, kind of.
Right.
So I'm wondering how you get like the best picture of these guys.
Yeah, you gotta dive out of your vehicle and go scuba diving.
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
Or it could be something like you throw an apple in the water, maybe they'll like hop out.
Start jumping around. Yeah. I was joking about the scuba diving thing, by the way.
Yeah.
Did you notice the clouds in the top right? Don't those look a little odd to you?
In the top right, let's have a look. So, these ones over here?
Yeah. Does that look like, I don't know, like a horn or something? I mean...
You know what? We might be seeing stuff in the clouds, but I'm seeing a face in this cloud.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
There.
Like a couple of eyes, perhaps. A horn or yeah.
Yeah, that's tricky to say. It kind of looks like the Pokemon that we saw earlier, so if we back out and rewind a little bit, to me, it looks like this Pokemon.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It could very well be a coincidence, but I don't know, because Pokémon Snap did this a lot as well, as we were saying earlier, like trying to make figures of Pokemon out of materials in the environment.
Exactly.
So it could be that.
It might be.
Sharpedo's looking very menacing out the
It is. That looks terrifying. I do not want to get anywhere close to that thing. I will for amazing pictures. Oh, I love this.
Yeah, so this is Emolga it's looking right at you. And the way it's passing by makes me feel like this is the opening to the level. Just like, look at the camera swipe there. It's very...
Tropical Freeze-esque.
Yeah, very Tropical Freeze-esque with the way they open their levels. But apart from that, I don't think we're looking at any other Pokemon. Although, now I say that, this one... The name escapes me, but I think this is a Johto Pokemon right over here.
Oh, wow.
One, maybe.
Good catch. That looks like... I thought that was part of the environment.
Yeah, but apart from that, these are all just mushrooms. But
what about that red thing right there? Is that also just a plant? Move up right there.
This one here? Oh, yeah, we also got another one of these. So this is again the Vivillon. We've seen a few of them now. So, but I think that's a different color again.
Nice, right? That's 3 now.
I think so. Yeah.
So is that red thing anything, or is that just a plant? It looks like an egg almost.
I think it's just a plant, but it could be an egg. An egg would be interesting.
I mean, eggs were in the original game, but they were quite a bit bigger than that. So.
Another
apple being eaten.
Yep. And you know what's interesting about this Pokemon is, do you think that the different heads will be able to eat the apple, or is it just the middle head?
That's a good. I would love when they fight each other for the apple, even though it's all going to the same place.
So yeah, this is of course Dodrio. This might be the same scene as the beginning as well, because we still got the flock of the Buffleont right over here on the left, which that's what opened the trailer to begin with.
Right.
Hop all the way back over to this scene.
Yep, there we go. That's probably the same location or a similar location.
Yeah. So we hop back over here. So we got Buffleont, we got Dodrio, we got Grookey, so we got some brand new Gen 8 Pokemon, and also Pichu.
Pichu! Love that guy.
This is a sign.
Right
over here on the right. That definitely looks like, we might approach it from a different angle, but this definitely looks like a sign to me.
Do you think this could be like a Safari Zone type thing?
That would be interesting. All these Pokemon, maybe not Pichu, but the rest of the Pokemon definitely scream Safari Zone.
Yeah, I mean, it looks more. I mean, it looks like a national park, but Safari Zones. That's always kind of how I pictured them in the game. So I do wonder if there's any kind of like relation there. But at the least, it does look like that's a sign marking some kind of like park-like area. So.
Yeah, there's definitely way more Pokemon in one space than the original ever had. Like, most of the time they would focus on one type on screen at once, even if there's multiple different Pokemon of the same type.
Right.
But right here, what we're looking at right now, we have 4 different Pokemon occupying the same space. So like, trying to get all their attention might be tricky. Like, throwing an apple at one, who's gonna grab it?
Yeah, that's a great point. And what I forget, in the earlier water scene, when you point out one of the water Pokemon, was there another Pokemon riding it, or...?
I think that comes a bit later on.
Okay, got it. Okay.
Where someone's riding Lapras. So I think we'll touch on that fairly soon.
Yeah,
I love the way that this is another Apple animation. So we've seen Pikachu do this. We're going to see Blastoise, but look at the way that Dodrio just throws the apple in the air and munches on it.
So great.
Yeah.
And how they're all looking at it. Okay.
A look at the vehicle now.
So we see the vehicle appear in the same way, much in the same way as it did in the original game. It's looking a little bit fancier now, but it teleports in. But here's one key takeaway. Is pause it right there, John. You can see the path actually continues behind it. It's not starting at the beginning of the path like it did in the original game. There is clearly area behind it. Yeah, look at that. And if you keep going, John. And by the way, this vehicle looks pretty... Oh, actually, stop real quick. It doesn't even have tires or anything right now. It looks... I don't think... can we see... Go a little bit forward? Does it have wheels? I guess we can't quite see it, so...
Yeah, we can't quite...
I don't know...
I'll go back a little bit. You know what's interesting as well? This might have gone over my head the first time, but it looks just like a Pokeball.
Yeah, it does. Actually, good point. I like the little force field that appears around it. So yeah, I don't know if it has wheels or if it's able to hover. I'm not quite sure what it's doing, but that's not that important. What is important? Go ahead a little bit, John. Keep going.
Let's keep going.
Keep going.
Okay.
Pause.
Oh yeah.
Okay, here we go. Holographic path. This is actually extremely interesting to me for a few different reasons. One, there's no actual track here. Now, in the original game, the first level had a track. The rest of them had paths, in which you can also see a path here. Now, if it were working like the original game, why would you need a holographic overlay on top of the path? Well, I'm thinking, John, as you touched on earlier with the split path here, I'm thinking this HUD or this holographic path is a clear indicator that there are, first off, multiple routes in the game. Secondly, that you might actually choose what those routes are. And do you see those distance markers on the path? Why do those need to exist? What I'm thinking is you'll choose a start and end points of your route based on track length. They'll show you how far in the track you have left to go, or how far you can, how far along the track you are rather. And you'll be able to guide the path wherever you want along, the actual paths already laid out for you on the island. So I actually am thinking, you joked earlier, this might actually be more open world than we might think. Because I think this actually might be large singular locations, if not just a single location, where you literally map out where exactly you want to go with a fixed track length, which maybe that's one of the variables in the game too. Maybe you can extend your track lengths as you go through it. So yeah, given the fact that there's a path that continues behind the vehicle here, clearly indicates to me that they just arbitrarily chose this location as a start point, but it could have done it elsewhere. So this path might even loop back on itself.
So do you think, when you start gameplay, will this entire interface just fade away? Because we never see this again.
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is going to be something you can just probably pop up, perhaps a random, not a random. You can, there's probably the Batman vision or whatever. There's probably like a HUD view,
like detective vision, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We can bring up the view. But yeah, I'm thinking this will mostly disappear because you don't want to see this getting I mean, it won't appear in pictures at the least, obviously, but I think it would also interfere with the actual look too. Now, one other thing too is we can see that there are play arrows along it as well. And I wonder if that's indicative of anything, such as your current speed, and whether that's something that you either A, can affect when you're setting up the your path, which I don't think is the case, but maybe it updates itself to reflect what speed you're actually traveling at, because in the original game you could at the least speed up, so I wonder if that'll be an option here too, and that the path might change colors or change that arrow indicator to show that you're traveling faster than you normally would be.
Yeah, so that was one of the final upgrades you got in the original game, was that boost feature, which made replaying levels a lot more fun.
Right.
But yeah, this definitely seems a lot more intricate than that. So maybe you'll be able to just pause whenever you want, maybe you can speed up at various speeds. Who knows? But yeah, as you say, being able to point out this kind of path is definitely strange, and I'd be very surprised if there weren't some kind of alternate paths or being able to lay out your path. That mechanic just makes so much sense when you're looking at this.
It does, yeah.
I do want to go back a sec, just look at the person we play as, because this is not the original Pokémon Snap protagonist.
It's not Todd.
No. Was he called Todd Snap?
Todd Snap! Who also appeared in the anime.
What he's carrying as well. Like, what kind of camera is that?
That's not quite the camera they used in the original. It definitely looks a little bit more high-tech. I mean, it's almost smartphone-esque looking. There is still a viewfinder on it, but yeah, it's definitely more modern than the basically Polaroid camera we used in the original game.
I do wonder how they're going to restrict your shots. So in the original Pokemon Snap, you could take up to, I think it was like 30 pictures at once in a
something like
in a
that.
level,
If not
something
60.
like that.
Yeah.
It would be weird to limit that on this kind of camera. I guess they can have the excuse of this guy just has no memory cards. He can't store any more data. But yeah, I wonder how they're going to get around that this time.
I mean, probably the same way you just said. Like, there's limited memory. I do think you do have to limit. I mean, you don't have to, but I do think they will limit the amount of screenshots because it is interesting. I mean, that's your ammo, basically. This is a shooting game, and the amount of pictures you have is your ammo. So it makes you, it forces you to pick and choose when you take a picture instead of just like hammering the A button. So I do hope they actually retain that mechanic. But maybe, again, that could be an upgradable thing. Maybe you'll start with, say, 10 pictures. Maybe you can roll that out to bigger, maybe you can bigger SD cards and take more pictures as you go through.
You'll also notice his thumb and index finger on the lens as well. And I know you sort of zoom in to take a picture, but I just wonder, is there going to be more to that? Can we adjust our focus? Can we zoom in more? That's the kind of idea I get from the way he's holding it.
Well, to that point, John, the way you hold that is very similar to how you hold the Labo VR camera, baby!
Oh, no.
So I'm hoping that there's Labo VR support. Obviously, there's no real evidence of that, but please, God, it was made for this game.
I mean, it'd be a waste if they didn't. If only for you.
He's even zooming in the exact same way where you rotate the lens. So I mean, granted, which is a feature of cameras as well. But yeah. Also, no wheels. We can see it there at the start. This seems to be like some kind of hovercraft thing. So
yeah, it definitely hovers.
Right.
All right. I wonder if Professor Oak is sending us.
Oh,
on this
also,
journey, whether
headlight.
it's a brand new professor,
indicating at the least you can turn it on perhaps at night, if not when you go exploring like underground or in caves.
Yeah, for sure.
Also,
Yes,
it does. Real quick, sorry. I mean, the whole
That's all right.
thing with the force field, I think that kind of backs up the possibility of this being a submersible too. The fact that it's fully enclosed, I think, might indicate that this could go fully underwater, since it can clearly go on water anyway. So
that'd be interesting too, because we've seen underwater, but we haven't seen the actual craft go, see it dive.
Right.
And that's something Pokemon has done. Like in Gen 3, you can actually dive underwater. So I wonder if that's going to be like a completely alternate path. Like you can either go on the land, or you can just submerge into the water and take pictures of all the water Pokemon.
Yeah. I didn't realize until now, by the way, how much that Pokeball analogy works, because that headlight is where the Pokeball button would be, so...
Exactly. But going back to this scene, there's nothing really new. There's Dodrio again. We've seen them before. There's a different scene though. And again, this Pokemon that keeps changing color. Although I'm pretty sure we have seen this color before. But apart from that, I'm pretty sure that's more or less the same. Like no new Pokemon in there.
Right. There is some kind of odd rock thing on the left. I don't know what exactly that is. No.
Yeah.
The
Do a
great.
little zoom in, but I'm pretty sure it might
higher.
just be higher up.
To the left. Yeah. That. Oh, it might be as a plant. Yeah, I think it's just.
Yeah, I think that's just a plant.
Okay, never mind.
My eyes are drawn to this though. This
Yeah.
kind of looks like it might be some sort of stone formation rather than plant.
Right.
But yeah, nothing. No Pokemon stands out there. We've got Scorbunny with Pichu just chilling out.
Heck yeah.
I love the way they're just sort of dancing together. If you go back a little bit, you can just about see Pichu do a little smirk. Very cute.
Did you notice? Go forward just a little bit and pause again.
Yeah, sure.
Pause. Your cursor is also a Pokeball.
Oh yeah. Is it always like that?
It was circular in the original, but I don't think it was that explicitly Pokeball-esque. So
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, that's cool.
yeah, that's cute.
And
Lapras!
this is what you were talking about earlier. Lapras and Squirtle chilling out.
Do you think that's something that you caused to happen? That you lured
I think so.
That you lured the Squirtle onto the Lapras?
Yeah. So in the original Pokemon Snap, you can sort of lure like a Pikachu to ride on an Electrode. There's lots of little scenes like that. I would be shocked if this isn't what happened.
I would be too.
Alright, so I think that there's not much more to see in this scene, but we have seen this location prior. So this is probably the same level. In fact, we saw Laprases in the distance, so this is probably just a little later on from the prior scene. Again, we've seen all these guys before,
Right.
nothing too new going on. Although there is a Pokemon that dives for a second there.
Yeah, jumped out of the water.
Just
What
about
is
see it.
that?
I'm not. It might be a Mantoon, which we also saw earlier.
Right.
So there might not be anything new. And then we get this guy. So this is, I think it's pronounced Pukumuku, I think it's pronounced.
Okay.
I'm sure I'm butchering that. This guy's in Smash.
I love it grabbing the apple.
We Which again, another apple eating animation.
Yep.
And it just sort of shoves it into its mouth like that. It cuts away before you can see exactly what it does with it, but still cute. And we've got another Magikarp over here in the corner.
They're everywhere.
And we also have one that we missed as well. There's a dragon Pokemon. Or it might be another Mantoon. I think it might be the Gen 3 dragon, who the name escapes me again.
Yeah, you got me.
Yeah.
I do wonder... actually, we can see that same rock formation to the right, by the way, with the horns.
Oh, you're right, yeah.
Very clearly, this confirms this is the same area, in fact. Once again. I do wonder, too, with a Magikarp, I'm reminded of the Magikarp in the original Pokemon Snap, where if you knocked it into the water at some point, it would turn into a Gyarados, or Gyarados, however you say Gyarados. So I just wonder if that could possibly be the same situation here, where if you throw a Pokeball, or a Pester Ball rather at it or something, or Apple and knock it into the water, it might turn into that.
Here's a tiny detail too. Magikarp is reflective, so he might have just come out of the water.
Look at that!
And you can sort of see the moon is reflecting off his face.
Yeah. It's the moonlight. It's great.
What a cool detail. But yeah, I think that's most of what we can see in this scene. And then we've seen this one again, so we noted this Pokemon earlier, and I don't think there's much else going on here. Just getting a picture of them. We didn't see their face earlier, so that's kind of new, but just more gameplay. And I think, again, this is just the Mantine. We got the Pelipper's over there.
There's a cloud again! There's that weird cloud again!
Yeah, you're right. I think they're done showing us new Pokemon for this location, but it's definitely weird seeing that cloud just keep coming back.
Yeah, the weird cloud is great. I love Blastoise's apple animation.
So just where he just
shoves it in.
Shoves it in his mouth. But apart from that, this scene right here, we have another Magikarp down here, just sort of flapping in the water. And then a Pidgeot just comes in and snatches him away.
I love seeing these Pokemon in their natural environment. Like, yeah, that's his meal for the day. So...
I might have just found Sobble as well. Is that... Oh no, that might be the duck Pokemon, actually.
It looks like it.
Yeah. I think it's called Ducklet. Just chilling out over there. But apart from that, I think it's just Pidgeot, Magikarp, and Ducklet. I can't see any other Pokemon.
Can you rewind to the Blastoise scene again real quick, by the way?
Yeah, sure.
Is that another, like, weird rock formation behind it? Immediately behind it? I don't know if that's meant to be anything. It just looks weird to me.
Yeah, it might just be rocks. But if you zoomed out, it could even be like a Krabby or something.
Yeah.
Just the way that these sort of claw-looking rocks...
That's what I was thinking, right.
Yeah. I want to see how easy again, though. Look at him go. And then we got these guys.
Oh, sorry, real quick.
Detective Pikachu.
Did
you
catch
these guys, Andre?
Oh, I do. They were huge in the movie. I love that they're here. Did you catch a bird at the end of the previous scene? Did we comment on that?
Pidgeot.
No, at the very end.
Oh, you're right. Right over here. Let's see.
Two of them.
Let's see if we can go a bit closer to them.
Yep, there they come.
Yeah, they come just for a second there. It's hard to make out what they are exactly.
You zoom in on them?
Yeah. They're not Fearos.
Yeah.
So you can see they're sort of dark-coloured.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Might be the Swanners again, but I don't think so. But anyway, we've got these guys from Detective Pikachu. They're Torterra. And if we go a little bit on, you can see that he has something on his back there. Bunny and Pichu.
That's great. Is there something on the one in the back too, or no?
I don't think so. If we just zoom in, it looks like there's definitely a tree behind him, but I don't think there's a Pokemon.
Okay.
Then we've got Dodrio again. Alright, and then it pans around, but I don't think we're catching anything else here.
It looks like there's a third one to the right. Did you see that?
Let's just go back a little bit.
Yeah,
there's definitely a third one over there, yeah. I wonder what's going on here, though. Are these Pokemon just chilling out together? Because they look like they're kind of surrounding the Dodrio a little bit.
Not just that, they're blocking the path, too.
Yeah, you're right.
So
do we have to lure these away somehow?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, there were parts in the original game where a Pokemon could impede your path and you would just stop until they got out of the way. It reminds me a little bit of the Animal Kingdom Safari, which has real animals, and they will also sometimes block the path. You just have to wait them out, so... Yeah, so you might have to do something here. Either this is the result of something you did, or you need to wait for them to clear out of the way, or maybe do something to get them out of the way.
And as we were saying earlier as well, is there a way to get Pichu and Scorbunny on top of this Torterra? Or are they chilling there the entire time?
Can you ride the that around? I want to make that my Pokemon Snap vehicle.
Just jump out of your car and go onto the Torterra?
Exactly.
We're coming towards the end of the footage, but there's still quite a bit to see with these pictures here. So this is the same area from the beginning. We've got the Buffalo Pokemon again, Buffalont, and also these guys again, same color as they were prior, but we're just looking at a snapshot this time. And the way that it works in the original game is you'll basically send your pictures to Oak and he'll judge them.
Right.
But throughout these next few scenes, we see them as these sort of these sticky notes on a wall. So I wonder if this is how we look at our photos now, rather than just sort of sending these images to Oak.
Well, it does say not actual gameplay footage at the bottom, so this might just be a trailer flourish. So I hope. This is where it gets a little bit weird, because in the era of social media, like it might be weird to have like an AI grade our pictures, which obviously won't have the same eye that people will. At the same time, you still need to have that gameplay mechanic there. So I do wonder how fully this will work in the game. Yeah, is Professor Oak still rating your pictures like based, hopefully on a more elaborate criteria than the original game, which is pretty limited, and didn't actually reward like good-looking photos more than just having the Pokemon like featured largely in them. So
here's an ambitious idea. What if there's an always online component? That's optional. That you can have other players rate your pictures.
Oh, I love that idea.
You just go through this wall and just give them any score you want to give them.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, if there were like, yeah, if a selection of your photos were just submitted to the community, they all vote on them. Like say after you get 20 votes, you get your picture back and you get the community rating. Wouldn't that be really neat? That's all.
I think that could work really well.
Yeah, make it social.
Yeah. We've got two little Wailords just chilling out, Manteens again. So we've seen this area before. They're kind of just retouching on areas we've seen already. But it's great to see how dynamic these Pokemon are. Like, I don't think we saw two Wailords together earlier. So how do we get two of them? And again, look at the focus as well. The Manteens look like they're out of focus, while the Wailords are in focus.
Good point. Yeah, it seems like there will actually be depth of field in this, which is a key part of photography. And that will be a really fun thing to experiment with. Like with these graphics, we're gonna be seeing some really fun and amazing pictures.
Also, this is a 16:9 image. The prior one was 4:3.
Good point.
Go back. 4:3, 16:9. Then we've got some Bidoofs in the water.
Yeah, you're right. You might have control of the aspect ratio, unless you're just able to crop pictures afterward, perhaps.
Maybe. But if you look in actual gameplay, when you take a picture of a Pokemon, if we just wait until let's get to the Pikachu. You look at the corner of the screen when they get there, and it's 4:3 when they snap it in. So if you pause right here, there you go. So right down here in the bottom left. That's definitely a 4:3 image.
It is. That's why I wondered if you might be able to crop it from that point to make it thinner. Yeah, but you're right. Maybe it's something you select from the get-go. Like was that the same 4:3 ratio with the Blastoise?
Good question. Let's go back and have a look. Yeah, it was.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. But we see various different aspect ratios, and in fact the third one I think might have even been wider. So we've got 4:3, 16:9. This one looks like 21:9.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I love little expressions on Bidoof as well. Like we got one with sort of small eyes, one with big eyes, and then one just with completely closed eyes there.
That's great.
And then you've got a bunch of different pictures. So again, these are all different aspect ratios. We've got Wurmple, which that's even less than 4:3.
Yeah, you know, I'm thinking the more I look at this, if assuming this is something you do in the game and it isn't just for the trailer, I'm pretty certain this is cropping you do after the fact and not as you're taking pictures.
We speculated earlier that Emolga might be the opening of that level, but then you got a screenshot right here of Emolga pointing towards Pidgeot. And I'm pretty sure that's Pidgeot, not Pidgeotto, but we saw Pidgeot grab a Magikarp, so that's probably the same level. But again, look at the time of days. We've got sunset, we've got night, we've got pure day. Hoot Hoot's interesting. So Hoot Hoot in Johto, I think it'd only be found at night, but this is clearly a daytime shot.
It is.
So I wonder how that's working.
Maybe you got me. I have no idea.
Maybe he's just an early Pokemon. Maybe like the rest of it is kind of sleeping, but he's just chilling out.
That could be. He's a very confused owl.
Yeah. Down here, is this just the beach at night? For a moment, I thought we're submerged in the water, but I don't think we are.
Yeah, you can see a palm tree on the left, so... It does... You want to zoom in on that, though? Yeah, I think you are right about the night setting. But it does look like there's bubbles, almost, doesn't it?
Yeah, there might just be birds, but this thing here definitely looks like some kind of bubble.
But I think you can see... yeah, this is such an odd... I mean, you can see the... I mean, this is definitely at night. Just, what are... Then those are Pokemon. So are those a new one we haven't touched on already?
I don't think they're new. I'm pretty sure this is the same... Well, we touched on the seagulls in the sky earlier. The bubble one, I'm not entirely sure, though.
Yeah, that's throwing me off. Yeah, I wonder what exactly that is, so...
I'm wondering how we're getting this Emolga shot, because he's so close to the camera.
Yeah. I guess, hey, if your lens, I mean, you could be, miles back if you have a strong enough lens, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. You know what I love? This Blastoise pose. Just
rolling
around.
He's having a grand old time. You just threw him catnip.
Yeah. But apart from that, I think that's basically all the Pokemon that we can see here. Everything else is just variants of what we've seen in the trailer, apart from Wurmple. And that might be the end. There's Pikachu eating an apple, which we saw right at the start.
We saw the actual shutter close there, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, and then there's just a few pictures at the end, but I think these might even be pictures that we've seen already. This looks just like the first 4x3 one you see.
Hey John, I don't know if you noticed this, but if you look real close, you can just barely see a Pokeball logo in the Snap. Or a Pokeball in the Snap logo. That's just barely.
How are you feeling about the name New Pokemon Snap?
Oh, I hate the name. I mean, I don't hate it as much as New Super Mario Brothers. But yeah, I'm not a fan of using relative words that have a relative context in gaming, because it's not going to be new 10 years from now, so it's stupid.
Yeah.
But whatever, I can ignore that. I can just put my hand over the new and pretend it's not there. Because yeah, otherwise this game looks amazing. And I do think, John, now that we've gone through the trailer and touched on some of the concepts and ideas at work here, I am starting to think that this may just be a single large island that you choose a path to go through. There'll be multiple, environments or area types within it, but I'm thinking it might be a single large location, and you choose the routes to go through it.
I'm getting that vibe. Also, just want to point out the Blossom. They're very hard to miss, but we can talk about them.
Almost missed them.
But yeah, if I just go through this trailer and just touch on random scenes, it does look like most of these take place in the exact same location.
Look, you can see the mountains in the beach scene in the distance that we saw in other scenes. So
you're right. Totally.
Go back a little bit farther.
Yeah,
I think.
If we go back to here, yeah.
Yeah, you can see like a mountain range in the distance, which might be the same mountains we see like in the safari area, for instance, or whatever that national park is.
Yeah, and if you even zoom in a little bit on the right, it's just a bunch of vegetation, which we've seen lots of forest areas as well. So what if you can just choose different paths and go wherever you want?
It makes too much sense. That is such a smart idea.
I suppose there's always the chance that they've only shown us one location, but there's a little sign here saying there are islands where Pokemon live, being plural.
Oh, good point. So yeah. So at the very least, it does suggest that I mean that this is it might suggest that this is like an interconnected world at the least. Maybe we will see other islands, from in the background of another, kind of like Mario Sunshine. They can see the entirety of the world from where you're at. But yeah, I am thinking this is a more open adventure. At the least, I'm thinking that if you're not able to design your own tracks to go through, there might be multiple tracks you can select from a menu that take place within the same level. So it really does seem like they're really drilling in on the replayability of these levels, including multiple routes, time of day, which will affect if Pokemon appear. So I am excited for this. I love that there's going to be seemingly far more replayability than before.
This is a dream game. The first Pokemon Snap, while it's still a great game to play, you can pretty much see everything there is to see in 3 hours if you know the secret routes.
Right.
Whereas this, it just seems like there's so much variety, and we've not seen most of these Pokemon in Pokemon Snap. Like the first game only had 54 Pokemon. So to not only up that number, but also introduce 7 different generations since then, really just speaks to the ambition of what they're going for here.
Yeah, but how many Pokemon have we seen so far? It's what, around 30, I think, or so?
I think we're around 30 now, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we've already seen, if this were the original game, we would have already seen the majority of the Pokemon. And I'm certain they're going to be growing that number quite a bit. We're obviously not going to see anywhere close to the full Pokédex here, which is fine. But I do expect we'll see, at the very least, triple digits. And I'm hoping that we'll see between 200 to 300. If I'm thinking 300 would be a cap. I'm also thinking, I'm hoping for around 200. That's my quasi-realistic goal, I think.
And we see the same Pokemon in lots of different scenes as well. So like, it's not like we just see that Pokemon and then it never appears again. And they have so much personality as well. So even if they are taking the same Pokemon and putting them in different scenes, it's just gonna be great to see how they interact in these different locations.
Yeah, if you can, that could be a huge thing here. Is how the Pokemons interact with the environment and each other. Where, you can mix and match the Pokemon in different ways, almost party-like, and see what results they have with them being able to like literally ride other Pokemon around, as we just saw there. So yeah, I mean that also is going to be a huge factor because in the original game, there were special bonuses for like different configurations, whether it was different Pokemon or different interactions. So it's going to be fun to see how they play with that element here, perhaps to to a new level that is really going to just exponentially increase how much you can do.
So I'm really excited for this. This is one of my favorite N64 games, and I've wanted it to come back for years and years and years. We've been predicting this so much. I think if you listen to any direct discussion we've done, I'm pretty sure someone has said Pokémon Snap. And over the years, we've toned down on that because I think we've said it so often that we don't even believe it's going to happen. But here it is.
Well, even Pokemon Company themselves, I forget who it was said it, but they said at one point, not that long ago, that they felt it was redundant in the era of social media. So I don't know if they changed course or that was just to mislead us. I forget how long ago that comment was, but it is nice to see them go back on that because no, it's not redundant at all. In fact, now's the time to lean into a photography-based game because of social media, as we touched on earlier.
But yeah, everything I've seen in this it's making me so excited. And it's made by Bandai Namco as well. If we go back to the end there, we can just see that it's done by, I think it says Bandai Namco's developed it. And the rights, HAL Laboratory, who I think were involved with the first game, right?
That's correct, right. They made the first.
Yeah, it seems like it's mostly done by Bandai Namco. Creatures would have provided the models, and I'm sure Game Freak would have been like an advisory role, perhaps. But this seems like a Bandai Namco's production.
I cannot wait, my friend. I have not been this excited for a game in some time, and I am stoked. I never expected it to come back. I'm still not fully sure if I'm awake. I might just still be in my bed for all I know, just dreaming of a possible future. But dear God, this looks fantastic and far better than I expected. My expectations for how Pokemon games should look have been lowered quite a bit over the years, so it's nice to see them defy those expectations and deliver something truly spectacular looking.
Yeah, Pokemon have never looked so natural in their environments. And that's something I've really wanted to see them do in HD, and I can't wait for this.
Yep, I agree. Can't wait.